This is part 2 of the Motorola 5A7A radio. We're in the process of removing this assembly here. I already loosened these two screws up here, these 1/4-inch nuts here. And we'll go do this. I got to put the camera down to do that. We'll take this off so we can get in there and see what holds the speaker in. And also maybe have a little more room to get the power cord replaced. At this time I'm making this video, I have no extra cash to get any parts, so there isn't going to be much on this part here that I'm making unless something changes drastically here, but I don't think so. We're dead in the water. We don't have the funds to get any parts at all, so we're just going to have to work on it and replace what parts that I do have on hand. So what I'm going to do now off camera is I'm going to take this assembly off. And I don't like to take too much apart. A lot of guys will just take things apart, put screws in a thing, and seem to get it all back together again. I can't do that. I will lose parts and not remember where they go. Like the screws that hold this on, I had to tape them underneath the cover here. This is the shield that goes on the bottom of the chassis here. So if I don't do things like that, I will not remember where the screws go, and I'll either put them into the wrong place or whatever. So let me get this out and I'll be right back with you. By the way, these are the battery holders for the D cell, for your A batteries right here. Okay, with this assembly out of the way here, I put back the screws. It's laying on the side right now, but I put back the screws in the bracket here so that I'll know where they go. I try to do that whenever I can. The power cord, you can see the frayed cord right here. See it? Right there where my screwdriver tip is touching. So it goes down into here, and this is the battery switch, which when you plug this plug in, goes and changes it. Now, I don't think I would ever use this on batteries, so it probably would be a good idea just to clip these off, leaving all this the same, because I don't want to change all that wiring. That's a complicated mess here, and I wouldn't be able to deal with it. And not worry about running this on batteries, because it's never going to happen. First of all, you cannot get a 67.5 volt battery, and to make it up would be beyond what I can do, and there is no point to it. So it would probably be better just to run this on AC, just like all these radios. It's in the back over here, you can see it, and it's on a insulator through the chassis. So we'll trace that out. It looks like, well, not sure. I don't want to guess at this stuff here. You know, it could probably remove these battery connectors and everything else. I have to think about that, but that's probably what I will end up doing. It would make it easier to work on, and these are not needed because, yes, you can get the D cells all day long, but chances of this running on a battery is going to be very, very slim anyhow. So I got to trace this out off camera to see how much of a job it is and where these wires actually go. And of course the electrolytics I don't know when I'm going to be able to get them, and other capacitors which I may need, like 047 safety caps. I have a Y047, but I don't have an X047. Frankly, they don't make a damn bit of difference anyways. But it's a safety cap, that's all that counts. And it's certainly better than a wax capacitor that was originally in there. I'm sure it is. I don't really know yet what the capacitor is that goes across the line, where it's located. But here it is on the schematic. It looks like an 05's, which would be an 047. And it goes from one side of the line to what appears to be chassis ground. I would say so. Alright, the line cord comes in, and one side goes to this terminal strip right here, and it appears to have a wire going over there somewhere. Maybe that switch. The other end is right here and goes to this switch here. Now this switch here, let me get this light out of the way. Sorry if it's a little dark, but the light is in my way. Is where the power plug plugs in to go to the battery operation. These two wires here, as I showed on part 1, is for the loop antenna. So that is what we're going to do. We are not going to put the cord in yet because it's only going to get in my way when I'm working on this chassis. So that should be no problem. Still don't know what holds this speaker in. I might find out when I remove the electrolytics. We don't know yet. So with a little tracing out, as I said, one side of this line cord goes to this terminal strip, then the other wire that comes off of it goes down here, does not go to this switch. I didn't think it would because this turns the radio on and off by way of push button when you close the cover on it. It goes down here instead and goes to the selenium rectifier. So that is this point here on the schematic, right here. So that's the AC side of the selenium rectifier. Then of course we got that 150 ohm resistor which tests real low, but it was pointed out, and I saw the resistor after I working on the video and I can see it on the screen. That resistor that goes across the 150 ohm resistor right there, the sand resistor. So I'll have to clip that out and then check the sand resistor and see if it's 150 ohms, or it could even be open. Maybe somebody put that in there because the radio wasn't working. They needed a little more power going in to get a better on B+. I don't know. There isn't anything I can do about the speaker. Speakers cannot be repaired, not small ones like this. A larger one, yeah, you might be able to get stuff out in the voice coil. But I never had success with it, no matter how many years back, even when I had excellent eyesight. So, I don't know what I'm going to do. The other radio may have a good speaker, it may not. It could be even worse than this, if that's possible. But I'm thinking seriously of doing away with the battery feature on this radio. It would make it a lot easier. I don't have all these wires, you know, but I'm not going to go through all the trouble of removing this. There is no point to it. It just don't plug in the plug from your cord in here unless you want to run on batteries. I had it in there because I wanted to put the voltage, as you saw on part 1, I wanted to get 67.5 volts into the battery connector, and of course I had 2 D cells in these 2 things here. But this is going to strictly be AC only, so that's the way that's going to be. Well, to my surprise, I took my X-Acto knife and I dug out, I use my finger because I can't get a pointer right now, and I went around here and then I blew it out. Now listen. That is very unusual. It's about the first time that's ever cleared up. Most of the time, your dirt and stuff is on the outside where the coil is, the voice coil, on the windings in that gap. Usually, it's not on the inside of the gap right here. That is excellent. So, the felt had a little hole in it. You might have seen it in part 1, and maybe even in this, before I did this. It had a hole of about, less than an 1/8 inch probably, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, in the felt. So something got in there, I guess. I didn't see anything come out other than a bunch of felt, and I just blew in there, and nice and clear. So, I mean, I could put a little something over this. I don't have any felt, but what I do have to do right now is I got to protect this speaker so I don't knock a hole in it. Alright, well, I had this plastic cover, which is a little small. I had to trim it down on each corner, but I left the other part on there. I was going to put the screws through there or wire ties, but I think it was just as easy to tape it down. Let's protect the speaker so I don't knock a hole in it. Since now it may be a good speaker. I haven't checked for sound though. But I have to do what I can do, and of course I'm very limited. As I said, I can't do anything until I get the parts. So there are some caps and things that I can change in here. We'll be back in a minute. Well, we're going to end part 2. I know it's probably not all that long. On the Model 5A7A Motorola radio. I'm going to throw a question out to you folks out there. What do you think about eliminating the battery feature of these radios? I like the idea of Greg, Vintage Workshop, working on his radio. I don't recall what the model is. It's not a common model, but it is a battery operated set, and he's doing away with all the battery features and having it run on AC only. This day and age, you can't get a 67.5 volt battery without making it. Who's going to be carrying something this around like this anyways and running it as a portable? I don't think anybody would. So, what do you think? In closing part 2 here, and I've decided As you obviously know, I'm going to be putting up part 1, which I've already done and you watched it, and this part 2, even though I said I wasn't, because I need to know. What do you think? Removing this, it serves no purpose. Removing this, leaving this here, or just remove, all you got to do is remove 3 wires. One here, the ground down here. Here, you got 2 green wires and 1 black wire. Removing it, leaving the switch in place, just cutting it off flush here. That's a piece of spaghetti, I guess, when it went through the chassis or something. Removing this. This connector could be used on another radio. I marked that plus or minus. Unusual that the plus is black. But regardless, removing that and removing this, it would definitely be easier to work on. I still got caps that are buried way down here. Got 2 here. I don't know what holds the speaker in. I may not have to remove it unless it's defective, and I really don't know yet because I can't get in there to get at the voice coil. I could put a battery on the audio output transformer, primary. Audio output transformer is right here where my thumb is. Find the primary of that and put a 1.5 volt battery on it and see if it clicks in the speaker. I mean, that's easy enough to do. And if it clicks, then we know we got a good speaker. So I have to remember not to lose these antenna wires here. I have to make very sure I know where they go in case they come off with all this movement and everything else. But I think removing the battery feature of this radio and making it run just on AC would be the best thing. So I'm going to leave that up to you guys out there. This concludes part number 2 of this series. It's going to be quite a while before I'll get back on this. As you see, I couldn't change any of the caps yet. I do have most of these caps. I just don't have the electrolytics, and I don't have any 047 across the line cap. But I think I have a Y cap that would work. I don't see what the difference is anyways. Tell you the honest truth. That's what I have. I'm pretty sure I have an 047 and a Y. Maybe not. Nope. Let's go and check. The Ys are hot to ground. And the X is cross the line. I have one. But I've got another radio I got to do. So these type here are across the line, and let's just see what we got here. 0.01. I bought quite a few of them from Sal's. These are all from Sal's. Let's see what we got here. 0047, 0033, and 001. I marked these here. I have to go through these. Tell you the honest truth, I don't think it makes a damn bit of difference. All the years that these radios were out and they use an ordinary wax capacitor across the line, I've always, throughout the years, way back in the 60s, I've used Sprague orange drops across the line to replace the wax capacitors that were across the line. It's only been in recent years since I had this shop that I started using these, because they're really cheap. They're like 15 cents each. But needless to say, I can't put an order in just for one of 5 of these. And maybe a few other caps. I mean, that's ridiculous. I got to get enough to do a radio, 2 or 3 radios. So anyways, that's going to conclude this part 2, as I said. And off camera, which is much easier for me to do, I'm going to be replacing these. And when I do, it most likely will be on part 3. But I'm not 100% sure yet. I want some feedback on converting these, getting rid of the battery feature on these radios. Since this thing is in the way, it makes it hard for me to work on anyways. And it fits real tight in this case, rubbing up against these. So I'd just as soon eliminate this. Hang on to them. I don't know, in my junk box, and I'll probably forget what the heck they go to in the future. And concentrate on making this work strictly on AC. Thanks for watching, everybody. This concludes part 2.